Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this evening's broadcast on Maconi Entertainment. My name is William Tiller. Joining me in the booth tonight will be Nolan Rempel and Eddie Smith, working the controls as our producer tonight, and those beautiful camera angles are being provided by Dougie Beard. Tonight is the fourth race of the Ignite Racing League's Hot Rod Setup Shop Cup Series, featuring the next-gen cars at Michigan Speedway. Michigan is a deceptively simple track. It's easy to get around, but hard to master. Expect to see a lot of slingshot moves and drivers trying out every lane on this track. Nolan, why don't you tell us more about Michigan and some of the action we're going to see tonight?
I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. It is really one of those tracks that is easy to get around, but as you mentioned, of course, difficult to master. It's one of those tracks you'd think pinning it to the bottom through these very wide and long corners might be the best way around, but no siree. That middle groove, specifically about one lane up, that's where we're going to be seeing most of our action coming from here tonight, as drivers will definitely be looking to see if they can't be on the loud pedal all the way throughout tonight's race. No doubt Draft can have a huge hand to say and who's going to be winning tonight's 70-mile event as well.
Man, I am excited for this race. We're going to run 35 laps, 70 miles, as you just said, Nolan. This race is going to go by very, very fast. I am excited to see who's going to come out as the victor here tonight. Of course, in this series, if you're unfamiliar, we run with open setups with a baseline provided. Qualifying is based on time. We're joining qualifying as it's taking place right now here on the track. And we'll see here, Nolan, we're about 4 weeks into the series. What are some of the names the folks at home have to watch out for here tonight?
Honestly, when it comes to a track like Michigan, I don't even really have any names. It's one of those wild card tracks. I would say it's a slightly toned down version of Daytona and Talladega. It's organized chaos, is what I'd like to say. You can have so many different drivers that can be up at the front of this field. We can find themselves slipping way back just as early. It is going to be a pack race all the way throughout the night, and at the moment, I have to say, if you're the driver that started at first, you're not entirely liable to be winning this race.
No, definitely not. With how many lanes and how many different maneuvers you can do here at Michigan, this is going to be a wild one indeed. As we're waiting the conclusion of the qualifying session here, about 2.5 minutes to go, we'll get a good indication of who's going to start on the top of this grid, who's going to have to put in work to get the job done here in 35 laps. But Nolan, as we're watching this qualifying session take place, only a 35-lap race here tonight. What do you think the mentality of the drivers are going to be? Because sometimes we'll see a little give and take. We'll see drivers sort of take their time. What do you think it's going to be, that driver mentality here, or with only 35 laps?
I think drivers are going to be looking to see if they can make these moves early on so they get themselves at least in a position where they'll be able to come away with a race win by the end of these 35 laps. You know, typically, I'll say time and time again for races at big tracks like this, it's not a marathon, or it's not a sprint, it's a marathon, but it's the polar opposite here tonight. Of course, the races where I usually say that, they happen to be about 65 laps longer than what you got here tonight. So, you know, only 35 laps. That's not a lot of time when you're lapping this place in under 40 seconds, but the current pole time sitting at just a 38.860. So you know these guys are going to be looking to make those moves early on, because it's one of those chances where you can't wait till later in the race. It's already later in the race.
It really is. Once that green flag flies, you're going to have one lap in the books. That means 34 to go. That's usually the last end of a race that we usually call here, Nolan. But here tonight, it's going to be a sprint for these drivers. It's going to be a sprint up here in the booth for us as well. We'll try to get all this action in here. But I got to say, Nolan, this has got to be my favorite car on the racetrack, rocking the Hot Wheels paint scheme here tonight. That's Lapovich right now. I know Lapovich from a few of these races we've called here on Maconi Entertainment. He's really strong in this series, but man, I'm impressed by that paint scheme here tonight.
Yeah, Lapsovich running a very beautiful paint scheme as he's going to bring his car to a stop up on the high banks of turn number 1 as he concludes his qualifying run. And it's not often you get some cars that have some older schemes like that. I believe, it was either Lee or Kyle Petty that used to run a similar Hot Wheels scheme way back in the 90s and I believe the early 2000s as well. You could correct me on that one if I'm completely wrong. It's one of the Pettys. That's all I know for a fact on that one. But it's not often you get to see some of the older throwbacks sponsors like that make returns on the race cars, but hey, it's good to be able to kick it back and just admire some of the beautiful paints you can get out there on the racetrack from time to time.
Definitely beautiful indeed. You hit it right on the head there, Nolan. It was Kyle Petty rocked the 44. Then Adam unfortunately passed away. He switched his number to 45 in honor of Adam there in that Cup Series. But here tonight, as Nolan said, we're racing here in Brooklyn, Michigan. This track was opened in 1968. Track record was 235 miles an hour by Paul Tracy there in a kart. The length is 2 miles, but don't let that fool you, folks. This race will fly by. As Nolan said, these drivers will be under 40 seconds at this track, and how the pace here in this series, man, this is going to be a quick one here tonight. But tonight we are live here on Maconi Entertainment. Please contact us for any broadcasting information. We can take on any series you might have. We do GT Series, Cup Series, Xfinity Series. But Nolan, I'll throw it on over to you to get that starting grid out of the way.
Started on pole position, it's going to be Kyle Edgar with a 38.813, putting that time in with only 1 minute to go in qualifying. Trayton Lapsevich is going to be down to that second position to round us out on the front row, with Sam King sitting on third place. Tyler DiVincenzo is going to be in fourth, with Connor James in fifth, and Jack Dixon going to be rounding out row number 3 for us, Will.
Yeah, and then Daniel Ott's going to be in seventh, riding Lapovich. I believe there's a few Lapoviches in the field here tonight, so we'll have to keep an eye on which one we're calling out here. Then ninth position is going to be Jonathan Platt. 10th is going to be Cole Quinton right there. 11th, Mark Royce. 12th, Nick Ledson right there in that 15 machine. 13th is going to be Nolan Quinton. 14th is going to be Nate Spinks. And 15th will be Connor Ellis.
Running on down through the order, you've got the likes of Justin Knapp in 16th place, with Carson Nagy in 17th. Kevin Ayers is going to be in 18th place, and that's going to leave Stephen Knight and Don York to round out tonight's 20-car grid.
Oh man, it's going to be a full grid here tonight and a full night of action here tonight on Maconi Entertainment. We are waiting this pace car to pull us off pit road here to get this action on and popping here in Michigan. I know these Michigan fans are excited about their big blue coming up here in the college football playoffs, but here tonight we have a huge race here tonight at the virtual Michigan Motor Speedway. And once again, this is the Hot Rod Setup Shops Ignite Cup Series here, and they are the title sponsor of this Cup Series here. Reach out to Hot Rod Setup Shops on Facebook or Discord for more information about our title sponsor here tonight. Also, we want to let you know about JP Alfonso Studios. They are the title sponsor of our GT3 series here on Maconi Entertainment. They are a tattoo shop in Norcross, Georgia. Man, I want to get some ink here. I'm nervous about my first tattoo. I haven't gotten one yet. Maybe I'll take a trip up to Georgia and get one done by these fine folks here. Go check them out at jpalfonsostudios.com for all their recent work and booking information. Once again, we want to thank them for being the title sponsor of our GT3 series. Also, we want to shout out our series partners, Tam Livery and JP Alfonso Studios, who we just showed that wonderful website there about all that they do here tonight. But Nolan, this action, and we see Tam Livery. Look at those awesome paint schemes on our screen here on Maconi Entertainment. Go shout them out. Go check them out for some awesome paint schemes. Man, every car on that screen looks sharp here, Nolan. But here tonight, the action's going to be sharp on the track as this pace car is taking us around. We're about to go green flag racing here in Michigan.
Down to the back straightaway for one and only pace lap around the 2-mile racetrack out of Brooklyn, Michigan. And I tell you what, it's going to be a fun race tonight. And Michigan International Speedway has obviously been one of the most exciting 2-mile ovals that I think I've ever been able to commentate out of all the two that there are between itself and Auto Club. I prefer Michigan any day of the week. Auto Club is a really big driver's track, but here you get to have all that draft play in effect, and it keeps these drivers nice and tight together for that much longer.
Oh man, this is going to be a great one as we're coming off of corner number 4 right now. The pace lights are off. We're about to get this race started here. Oh, again, this is about the 4th or 5th week here in this series. These drivers know who they're racing against. They know who they can work with. They know who will get them to the top of this grid. But here we go, folks. The pace car has peeled off. We're coming off the last corner here. We're waiting. Barney the flag man to wave that green flag, and there he is. The green flag is in the air as we head down to corner number 1. Very smooth start right now as we come off of 2. Everybody's jockeying for position right now. Not a lot of moving pieces just yet, Nolan, as we head down to corner number 3. We're single file right now down to corners number 3 and 4.
I mentioned, of course, that inside lane, not going to be where you'd want to be starting your turn in at the start of this broadcast. Well, Kyle Edgar, again, found that out the hard way. He went from first, slipped back to third in the opening runs as Lapsevich and DiVincenzo both powered through. around the top shelf through turn 2 to the back straightaway. But the Javelin, number 47, found a gap right in line between himself and Sam King. And now he's going to run for third and try to see if he can't close up and overtake Tata DiVinanzo's Rubbermaid Ford Mustang.
Yeah, right now we're still single file down that backstretch. Right now we got Lapovich. We got Dinza, gosh, I can't get that name in that 97. I'll get it down though right now. Is that Sharp Machines in the second position right there. We got Edgar right there as well. We're still single file all around 3 and 4 now. Coming to this front stretch, not a lot of movement for position right now. Fourth place looks like it's getting some action right now. Is that 007 Machine right there behind the 4. Coming down into corner number 1. Still single file here all the way down to about the 8th position.
DiVinanzo poking low, trying to make a run for the race lead around Trayton Lapsevich on the inside line, but Lapsevich clears with the top shelf only just as DiVinanzo going to tuck back in line. You've got about a 6-car breakaway up in front before it's about a couple tenths back to Cole Quinton in the 7th spot, and now we've got the fight picking up for third right behind these guys as well as you ride on board with Tyler DiVinanzo through turns numbers 3 and 4. So far, Lapsevich has led every lap to green, and he's looking to continue that streak as now it's a 2-car break for the race lead. Side by side for third. It's causing them to drop back with the dirty air.
But you see how calm DiVinanzo is in that 97 machine. You saw that cockpit point of view. He is not aggressive right now. He's very gentle on that wheel. But we have a 3-wide battle for third right now. 4 wide almost on the back off of 2. They're touching each other. They're banging up against each other right now. Coming down to 3. We're still 3 wide here for third.
Kyle Edgar trapped in the middle. Jack Dixon ripping it around the top side, but he's too far up the track. Oh, more time now. 4 wide, one to the wall. And it's going to be Edgar going around. Caution flies. The field scrambles, but nowhere to go. For I believe that was Connor Ellis that just drilled the number 47 car. Nowhere to go as they scramble down low.
Wow, already, Nolan, we were about to go 4 wide there. We were 3 wide. They were banging off each other. Kyle Edgar looked like a human pinball there, hitting off those bumpers on the inside. On the outside, he was bouncing, and then unfortunately bounced right into that top side wall. Took a hard hit there, came down on the track, took another hard impact. But boy, Nolan, we talked about it to start this broadcast off. We knew we were going to have a frantic pace. We didn't know it was going to be this frantic.
You see Connor Ellis going to get drilled there, and then Jonathan Platt in the number 43 STP Camry getting a bit of contact in there as well. Looked to me like Edgar just moved down the track a little bit, tried to pinch Sam King down in the bottom lane. It might have been a bit of both. Looked like maybe one came up, one came down, and they slid up the track, and poor Jack Dixon, nothing the 07 car could do. He got a pretty hefty hit to the wall, but obviously the 2 big drivers with damage out of this is Edgar, and then going to have to keep one eye on Connor Ellis. He might have a broken right front of that one. One driver very lucky to escape that was the 93 of Carson Nagy in the 93 Chevrolet. And boy, would love to get a view on board with him if we could throughout the midst of that incident, because he barely scraped through between those cars in the pit wall.
Yeah, boy, that was such a battle right there. That was for the 3rd position there. We saw our leaders sort of separate with Lapovich and DiVinanzo right there in that 97 machine. And Connor James now slid up into that 3rd position after all of that. We'll have to get that on-board ride with Nagy right there to see what his point of view was there, Nolan. But boy, here we're only just about 6 laps in. We've already had 3 wide, 4 wide battles there for just a split second. For third, I can only predict how the rest of this race is going to proceed.
It's going to be a tight race as these guys will get themselves sorted throughout the duration of this race. And I think now that we've seen how this race could start, they'll be able to get themselves a solid run later on throughout this race. Now, one thing I do want to note, Sam King has been given an end of the longest line penalty. I believe that would be for cause the incident. So obviously they believe that King came up a bit more than Edgar came down to cause that incident. And he's been sent to the tail end of the field as a result.
Very early for that, but you know, through all of that, no damage taken. The worst penalty you're going to get is at the end of the line. I guess that's okay there for causing that much of a wreck there for Kyle Egger in that 47 machine. And man, what a bummer for him here tonight. But here we go. The pace car is leading us around here once again. Looks like the lights may still be on of that pace car, Nolan. As we're watching everybody start to get separated. Looks like we have some cars heading down pit road here. The yellow flag is still out. For those drivers that are heading down pit road here, Nolan, what's going to be the main focus in a very short race, only 35 laps? What's the main focus of these drivers here down pit road?
Well, for Jack Dixon, what he's doing right now is getting some of that damage repaired. He was obviously one of the big drivers collected in that incident. He got shoved up into the outside wall. So he's taking this time out of the yellow flag to come on down, get whatever damage he can get fixed at the pits without going the lap down and catch up the tail end of the pacing line. As for Sam King, he's already been given an end of the longest line penalty, so you may as well come down and get fresh tires at that point in time. I mean, yeah, this track, we've only been racing for like, what, 5 laps before that yellow flag came out. That's still enough, though, to make a huge difference on the tire wear.
Right, exactly. It puts a lot of wear on your tires, and how these drivers have already started racing here tonight. Very aggressive, very jockeying for position. We saw a single file line down to the 8th position, then we saw the floodgates open there. We went 3 wide, 4 wide for a split second. We saw how aggressive it can get inside of that danger zone lane where Kyle Egger was right in the middle of that sandwich. But here we go as the pace car is going to take us down to 3 and 4. The pace lights are off. We're going to go green flag racing here. Once we cross this start-finish line here on lap 7 in the Hot Rod Setup Shops Cup Series here live on Maconi Entertainment from Michigan Motor Speedway. But here we go, Nolan. The green flag is about to wave. Barney is getting ready in that flag booth. But here we go. The race is about to kick off once again.
About to kick off as the pace car pulls down and into pit road. Going to leave it in the hands of Dinanzo and Lapsevich. They enter the Geico restart zone. Green flag back in the air as we take it away once again from Brooklyn.
And there goes the number 97, Dinanzo, right there on the inside. He's going to hold that line. He's going to go up the track just a little bit. There's Lapsevich as well on the outside there, side by side. But you see right there, Dinanzo's all by himself in that number 97 machine. He has no help on that inside lane. Looks like everybody's coming up to the top side there, Nolan, as we head down the backstretch, down into 3.
Nick Letson making an aggressive jump to the inside as Dinanzo went up top. Not sure if that's a strategy I take, as now look, Dinanzo's got the momentum from the top line. That inside lane just doesn't have any sort of speed in 1 and 2. Looks to be a bit better in 3 and 4 as the 15 able to hold his ground for a little bit, but I don't think it's going to last as they come down to turn number 1 to start the 9th lap of the race. And now Cole Quinton, you can see running the 5th position, trying to make the look, and he's going to go 3 wide around the top side, backing out as Dinanzo pulls clear from the middle, but it's still going to be Nick Letson falling back from the bottom, and now he'll officially lose that 4th position, That's going to put Quinton up to 4th with Dinanzo still running in 3rd.
Yeah, I feel the single follow right now coming around 3 and 4. No movement just yet. But I got to say, Nolan, another awesome paint scheme on the racetrack from Ledson. That's the Charlie Brown Christmas paint scheme on the side of that race car here tonight. Got to appreciate that with the holidays only less than 10 days away. Boy, that is coming up quicker than these cars are going around this track here tonight. I am running out of days to get those Christmas presents out of the way. But here we go. The 47 machine of Kyle Egger is now back in the mix after taking that hard impact to the top side wall. You see him right there trying to jockey for position, trying to get up back through the grid right there. Has to get by Carson Aggie, which is not going to be an easy pass in that 93. As we come around 3 and 4, right now we have some battles taking place. And this is 4 right now. We're 3 wide. Oh, watch out. Oh, no. And it's getting crazy once again as we head down the front stretch.
Nagy in the middle, Edgar on bottom, Justin Knapp up top, 3 wide for the 6th position, down into turns 1 and 2. It's again allowing for a 5-car breakaway at the front of the train. Kyle Edgar trying to regain lost ground after he started up on pole. He's now lost the top 5 and the draft to the top 5. He's just been going backwards since he's been trying to take this inside lane. It's not going to go anywhere for him, though. He's got some help for Knapp on the bottom, but you just can't do anything about it in the corners. Now it's Knapp drifting up the track. He's going to make door-to-door contact with Carson Aggie through 3 and 4. We're going to go 3 wide again, right in the background. And now, where did Nolan Quinton come from? The 19 with a head of steam on the bottom. And now look at the 80 trying to pinch him down to the apron.
Yeah, you see what happens there. If you can't hold that momentum, hold that line, you will drift way back on this grid right there. We just saw that huge push that Knapp gave him right there, as you still see more cars battling for position here off of 2. But this is for lower spots on the grid. Right now in the lead, there's no change right now as Lapsevich is still leading the way in that 32 machine. That's Trayton Lapsevich there, the number is not correct on the car, but is correct in our books up here in the booth. The straight Lapovich is going to take us to the line here on lap 13. And boy, has he been running clean here today. Almost as clean as that all-white paint scheme on that race car.
Nate Spinks, gonna get turned to the back of the shot, and he's gonna go around and slam the outside wall in turn number 2. Jack Dixon goes with him. You saw it as you were riding on board with one of the cars in the front of the field. The hook just take place in a ball of smoke at the tail end. Looked like it might have been the other Lapsovich ride-in that got to the back of the 11 car, sending him and Jack Dixon slamming to the outside wall. That's now 2 instances Dixon's been collected in, and we'll take a look at the Maconi Entertainment replay here as Spinks, the main cause of caution flag number 2.
And you see what happens here. There's the 11 and 8 Spinks. Ooh, Nolan, that's... Oof. I don't know. It looks like Nate was trying to come down on the racetrack. Didn't know that he was clear or not. Yeah.
Ryan Lapsovich, give it the end of the longest line penalty for that one. And I'd imagine the view race control that Spinks got run over. At the end of the day, you want to make a move, you got to make sure you're clear. And while at least some debate for Spinks cleared himself across the nose of the 12, it'll be... It's an interesting one. It's a tough one to call. It does kind of look like Lapsovich... from the outside cameras, it looks like Lapsovich plows through Spinks. But you're right about Spinks. It looks like he cleared himself across the nose.
That's... We're not supposed to be biased up here in the booth here, Nolan, but that's exactly what it looked like to me. It looked like Lappovich was holding his line right there in the middle. The 11 car of Spinks comes down off the top side, thinks that he's clear. There's Lappovich right in the middle of the racetrack, and you see Spinks with the aggressive move from the top side. It almost looks like he wants to get down on the racetrack, get to that low line, and had no idea Lappovich was right there on the middle, and then touches that nose of Lappovich, and unfortunately spins himself in the process. But up for debate here. I guess that's just a racing move. Lappovich is going to get the worst of it, though, with the EOL penalty. We see right there, that's an excellent shot from Jack Dixon. You see Jack is just going to be an instant bystander in all this.
That's the second incident he's been involved in now, and he hasn't had anything to do with either of them. So he's going to spin down to the inside while the field comes down pit road here on this latest batch of yellow flags. And Kyle Edgar through the box, and he's not the only one. I believe that was Sam Kinney you just saw back it up as well. Meanwhile, it's going to be Mark Royce to pick up the lead in the race off of pit road, and he took a fuel-only stop while the other guys here taking tires. So Mark Royce going to promote himself from 13th on the track up to 1st.
And as we watch this race off of pit road, I believe we will take our first break of the evening here as everybody gets re-gridded up before we go green flag racing. But we are live here on Maconi Entertainment from Michigan Motor Speedway, and we'll be right back with more live action. We are back here from Michigan Motor Speedway here on Maconi Entertainment. We are just about 15 laps into this race, Nolan. We've had about 2 cautions so far. But we talked about it to start this broadcast off. We had a feeling these drivers would be pretty aggressive here tonight. Only a 35-lap race here in the Hot Rod Setup Shops Cup Series. But boy, it's not even a halfway mark yet. And these drivers are 3 wide, 4 wide in some instances.
Well, I mentioned before, it's not a marathon, it's a sprint, which is not a sentence. It's not a phrase I'm very used to saying, mind you. It's usually the other way around. And, you know, that type of racing mentality does bring forth some of the more aggressive movers like what we've been seeing so far tonight. But, hey, I'm all for it. It's something unusual that we don't get to see all that often. In stock car racing, you know, so many leagues nowadays, they like to take the route of going about half distance of the real Cup Series. Here, though, you get to just race hard out all the way to the checkered flag, and I like the change of pace. I like me some good old short racing from time to time. It almost gives you some good assistance there on short attention spans.
Really does, Nolan. You jump in that race car, you jump in your simulator, you know that's a 35 lap sprint here at Michigan. You don't have to worry about stages. You don't have to worry about, of course, you have to worry about strategies just a little bit, but you don't have to worry about pitting certain windows, who to work with, what's your lap marks, when to go down. Here tonight, all you have to do is put that gas pedal to the floor, make sure you're at the top of the grid when that checkered flag flies. But here we go. Bunny the Flagman has that green flag in his hand. He is waving it frantically as we are green flag racing once again as our leader is going to take us down into corner number 1. We're back. Green flag racing here in the Hot Rod Setup Shop Cup Series.
Side by side for the lead down in turn number 1. Oh, a big pop on the bottom from Royce.
Whoa.
That's the old tires working for you. That's going to stack up the inside line. Come
Whoa.
on. Royce going around. He's going to save it right when he clips that white line. That is old tires that's working against Mark Royce there. As I believe he bounced off the door of Connor James, and now it's Kyle Edgar and Tyler Divinanzo that just went side by side. Sorry, Kyle Edgar and Carson Nagy is side by side for third.
Royce looked like Ricky Bobby when he first got back into the race car after he caught on fire. He was wondering why everybody was going so fast and he was going so slow. Well, folks, that's what old tires will do to a race car right there. He went from the top of the grid to about the 6th or 7th position on the racetrack right now. But it's the same players up at the top of the grid right now. As we head down to corner number 3, we have Lapovich leading the field. We have Divinanzo right there as well. Nagy's in the mix in that number 93 machine as well. We see Edgar in that 47 after an early incident is back in the mix inside the top 5. But we're going to cross this line here, make it lap 18 in the books as we head down to corner number 1.
Into turn number 1, and now Trayton Lapsovich started to pull away with that race lead as you look a bit deeper in the pack and believe that was Cole Quinton that just got a bit out of shape off of turn 2 and kind of had to scramble to the inside line as he tried to go for 3 wide around the inside of Jonathan Platt. Didn't work out so well for him. Fight for second, though, is allowing the race leader to start to pull away with that gap. It's up to now a couple tenths, and you still see Nagy working with Edgar for that third position, but now the rules have switched. Now it's Edgar running the bottom lane, and he's got Connor James behind him looking to maybe give a helping hand to the Full Down Motorsports number 4.
And you see right there, you see Connor James in the mix of that 4 machine, blacked out, looking like Johnny Cash here on the track as we come off of 2. There is a herd of drivers in this mix right here, Nolan. Really, anybody can come out of this mix of drivers. We have Divinanzo right there. We have Nagy. We have Edgar. We have James in this mix. But all of these guys have to catch Lapovich, who is looking so fresh, so clean in that all-white machine at the top of the grid right now as lap 20 down into corner number 1 as our race leader.
15 laps to go from Michigan International Speedway. It's been a solid run so far for everybody in this field. Only 2 cautions so far on the afternoon, but there's potential for more as you saw Nagy push up in front of Edgar, and that's going to let Connor James make a sneak move to the inside for 4. And how about that? The 93 blocking to the bottom, trying to keep Connor James from getting the run, but he's only going to wash up the track now in front of Kyle Edgar, and we're going to be 3 wide for third, down the front straightaway. Edgar up the middle, trying to make it 2 for 2 on the front straightaway as they take 14 to go. It's going to clear from the bottom. Now he's got to clear 1 more from the top side, and he's trying to force his issue down to turn 1, and it looks like Kyle Edgar going to manage to make that move for third.
Boy, what a race this is. Kyle Edgar shakes off what happened to him earlier in this race, or like Taylor Swift, he just shake it off here tonight as he is now back in the mix. He went 3 wide with no hesitation, went all through these drivers, now put himself in that mix now, has Divinanzo in his sights, trying to catch up to Lapovich at the top of the grid. But here we go. We're going to cross this line, make it lap 23 down at the corner number 1. So it's Lapovich as our leader, but boy, we have some speed behind him, and boy, he better get ready because these drivers are coming quick, fast, and in a hurry. If they can just learn to work together just a little bit, Nolan, as we come off of corner number 2 down the backstretch. So Lapovich leading the way.
And I think that's the big thing at the moment, right? You know, if you could get Tyler Divinanzo to be able to get some help from Kyle Edgar in behind, they could bump draft their way up to trade to Lapsevich, and Lapsevich would just be a sitting duck. But that's the big problem. Nobody's willing to work together right now, and it's costing these guys in the long run as DiVincenzo clips the outside wall just to prove the point. He's wanting to lone wolf this thing, but you're not going to be able to do that for too long. As Connor James looking to the outside for fourth, but no room for the number 4 car to stick his nose in. And it looks like now Kyle Edgar going to start to give some assistance to DiVincenzo here to help him make a move down the back straightaway. Well, as I say, he's just going to look to the inside and try to go for an overtake instead.
Yeah, he's going to try to go to the overtake again. I guess he's not listening to the broadcast here. Kyle Egger is trying to push the issue here to the inside of DiVincenzo, but look at DiVincenzo is going to get a big push from his back bumper to make sure he holds position. But there goes Edgar right there. That's Connor James in that 4 machine. He's going to go to the inside as well to the 97 machine here. We go around 3 and 4 right now, heading down the front stretch. They're just battling for second right now as Lapsevich is probably watching this in his rear view, knowing what these drivers are battling for here on this racetrack. But still, Lapsevich in the lead. Here goes Edgar, is now trying to catch that draft coming off of that machine at the top of the grid. Connor James, though, going to go to the inside of Kyle Edgar here, coming off of 2. Will it be enough? No, it will not. As we go single file once again down the backstretch.
Oh, Edgar going for the block on Connor James. 3-way tandem down the straight. That will close them in. But this move from James not helping matters on the inside line. Connor James is only... He's only hampering these guys' efforts to get up to the race lead, and I'd imagine Edgar is furious right now. He's like, why are you not helping me? You're only costing us in the long run. These guys have got to learn to work together, and none of them are going to be able to go for the win with only 10 laps on the docket.
No, and I thought right there we had a moment. It was almost like a Transformers moment where they all went single file together for just a split second. They said no thank you as they all scattered after that moment here on 1 and 2. They're now back single file down the backstretch here, down into 3. They have to stick together here. Oh, man, what a block there from Edgar to go way low. Throw that block. I believe that's the 15 machine. I can't tell who that is on our screen, but they have come into the mix as well. I believe that's the...
It's the 27 of King, I think.
That's the 27 of King there, Nolan. Where did he come from on the racetrack? He's got his name in the mix as well.
All right, we're just left for deeper in the pack after he lost some spots early. Now he's up to second place, and Pull Down Motorsports, I think, trying to get linked up on that inside line. Got to remember, James and King are teammates here, so they're trying to work together to tandem their way up to Lapsevich, but instead, James finally going to give some much-needed assistance to Kyle Edgar, and look at how much that has closed them up to the race leader, Trayton Lapsevich. Now Lapsevich is under heavy fire. They were within 3.5 tenths of a second the last time by. This time by the start-finish line, it's looking like it's going to be another 0.2 of a second gain. It's down to under 1/4 of a second this time around. So all of a sudden, Lapsevich has got a lot to worry about right behind him.
He has so much speed behind him right now. He just has to hold on in this position as we're looking at around 8 laps to go here on Maconi Entertainment. Once again, it's Lapsevich leading the way. He has Kyle Edgar, though, right in his rear view as we head down into 3 and 4. As I mentioned, there is a train coming behind Lapsevich right now as we exit corner number 4. Heading down this front stretch, we have contact. Contact on the outside wall. Kyle Edgar makes contact. He's going to lose a lot of speed. There goes DiVincenzo to the inside. Connor James to the outside right here. They're trying to slice and dice their way around Kyle Edgar as he makes contact with that topside wall as we head down into 1.
That might be the nail in the coffin for these drivers in their bids to go for the race lead. Tyler DiVincenzo now up to second place. Meanwhile, Edgar throwing a slider to the high side for third is going to check up Connor James. And now, once again, these guys have broken apart. And all that work over the last 6 laps or so that they did trying to reel down Trayton Lapsevich has just been thrown to the wayside. And now as they officially take 6 to go, it's looking like Connor James is done playing games out here.
He is done playing games indeed. As Connor James now to the inside of Kyle Edgar. He knows these laps are ticking down. We have less than 6 laps to go here tonight on Maconi Entertainment. Once again, this is the Hot Rod Setup Shops Cup Series here tonight. As Connor James in that 4 machine is going to come over. Another hard impact from Kyle Edgar there. Boy, he is now a magnet to that topside wall, and he's going to drift out of contention. Boy, he's going to turn into a mirage here in a second. As Connor James now going to try to the inside of DiVincenzo here. This is for her second here on the racetrack. Right now, though, Nolan, for Lapsevich, he's got to know that he's got this virtually in the bag for going any kind of self-destruction that's going to happen to that machine as we cross the line, make it 31 in the books, down into corner number 1.
Connor James tucked in line with the draft line, Tyler DiVincenzo, but not opting to make a move. So he's going to, I think, wait for his teammate Sam King to pull up behind him, and then maybe they'll be able to make a run here. Whoa, and that was DiVincenzo into the outside fence. And that's going to stack up Connor James even further. And, well, that's going to let Sam King draft right at the back of these two, which is hardly a surprise. They're both going to shoot to the inside of the Rubbermaid 97 and try to see if they can link up and bump draft their way up to that first place driver up there at the front of this field. And it looks like King's going to get clear. This might be the opportunity that Pull Down Motorsports needs, but now they've got to run some of the best last 4 laps you ever did see.
They have to do everything that's left in the tank. You have to put it all on the table. Like that scene from Rounders where Matt Damon put all his chips in the middle of the table. And at the end they said, pay that man his money. Well, it's time to earn that money here tonight. As Connor James is leading right now that pack, trying to catch Lapovich there at the top of the grid. As we head down to 3 and 4, though, Lapovich has got a bit of a gap now as we come off of forward to this front stretch with less than 4 laps to go.
It's going to be 3 to go at the line. King still trying to push up to the point where they can bump draft with each other and make their way up to Lapsovich, but they close by over a tenth that time by. It's down to .788 last time by the start-finish line, and look at the delta on the top of the screen. That's about half a second that it closed down to. They are still closing, but the question is, are they closing enough to make this pass by the time they get to the white flag?
They have to start pushing everything to the limits. Right now, as Connor James in that 4 machine is getting pushed along by King, his teammate, right here in 2nd and 3rd. Lapovich, though, is trying to every which lane he can to make sure there's no drafts coming off the back of that race car. But here we go. Crossing the line here with 2 laps to go. Lapovich is our race leader. He has some speed behind him, though, with Connor James and King. He has to know they're coming. At which point, though, they're going to have enough to catch Lapovich here as we come around 1 and 2 to this backstretch.
Close down to .421 over in turns 1 and 2 that last time by. Connor James still hot on the heels of Trayden Lapsovich and still has that ability to close in and make this pass happen with the race lead, but he's got to get some help from Sam King behind him. And now he's taking too tight of an entry into 3 and 4. I don't think they're going to be able to get there. I think Trayden Lapsovich has this race in the bag unless he really bottles it up in turn 1.
And here we go. We have 1 lap to go here on Maconi Entertainment as Lapovich will take us down to corner number 1. Boy, he has been playing Outcast all night long. So fresh and so clean inside that machine as he heads off with 2 down the backstretch right now. He looks like the clear favorite to win as Connor James and King are trying to push their way up to the top of the grid, but it looks like not to be enough as Lapovich, our race leader, will take us down to the final corners of the race. And it will be that 32 machine of Trayden Lapovich, our race winner here tonight in Big Blue Country. That is Michigan. He wins the Hot Rod Setup Shop Cup Series race here at Michigan live on Maconi Entertainment. And boy, what a run it was for him here tonight. Started 2nd. Boy, he made quick work of the field, though. He went right to the top of the grid. He never looked back here tonight, Nolan. He looks so fresh, so clean in that all-white machine. No need to waste any time on paint schemes. I'm just focused on track time. And boy, did it pay off here tonight. He wins this race in impressive fashion.
He certainly does, and I think at long last, Lapsovich can take himself a little bit of a breath there. Final margin victory was about .466 over at start-finish by the time that checker flag fell over this field. And you have to wonder, because when these guys were all linked up, they could close in, and they had him beat. But, boy, if they hadn't fought it out with each other, you can only wonder how this finish might have gone. And who knows, maybe Lapsovich wouldn't have been the one doing donuts right down there in Michigan's infield.
It would have been very, very close there, Nolan. We saw what could happen if those guys start to work together at all. I think King and James realized that, but once they realized it was just way too late. I think that pack of about 4 or 5 cars we saw battling out there as well, if they would have linked together and worked their way up to the top of the grid, we would have had quite the battle at the end. But Nobody had anything for Lapovich here tonight as he almost goes wire to wire here, starting second here. I believe he may have made that pass on the second lap of the race. And once he did, he checked out of his Holiday Inn Express and won this race here tonight at Michigan.
He certainly did. And for Trayton Lapsevich, it is going to be a race win in his Ford Mustang over the likes of Connor James, with Sam King, the pull down motorsports teammate, and finishing it back in third. Tyler DeVinanz will have to settle for fourth, and Kyle Egger, your pole sitter, slipping all the way back to fifth. Kevin Ayers was the biggest mover of the race. He didn't set a qualifying lap, started 18th. He'll finish up in that sixth position with Daniel Ott in seventh. Cole Quinn in his eighth. Ryder Lapsevich and Stefan Knight here will round out your top 10.
We look at Nick Gletzen right there in 11th. Nolan Quinton's going to finish 12th. Jack Sexton in 13th. Justin Knapp, 14th. Mark Royce right there in 15th. Nate Spinks in 16th. Carson Nagy in that 93 is going to finish 17th. Connor Ellis going to finish 18th. Jonathan Platt, 19th. Dong York in 20th.
What a race. I mean, that was about as good a race as you could hope for 35 laps at Michigan. I still wish, though, we had been able to catch a little bit more of that fight towards the end. And who knows, maybe some of our podium finishers here in just a second will be able to tell us what those were like.
Yeah, I mean, we had everything in this race. We had 3 wide racing, 4 wide racing. The cautions that flew was because drivers got a little bit too, I'd say, scared of the situation, bounce off other drivers in that 3 wide. But we saw it out of Kyle Edgar, though. He took that hard impact to the top side wall after going 3 wide, and then he shot the gap in another instance later on in the race. That didn't scare him at all, going 3 wide, shooting that gap, shooting that middle lane. He did it just then. But here tonight, we have our podium finishers, I do believe, ready to be interviewed here, Nolan. I believe we're going to start off with our race winner, Trayton Lappovich, in that 32 machine. And Trayton, boy, you finished second, or you started second. You finished first here tonight, but it looked like it was almost a wire-to-wire race. How are you able to dominate this track here tonight at Michigan?
I don't know. A lot of it had to do with tire conservation tonight. It seemed like the right front was wearing down pretty quickly, so I just had to work the pedals and work the steering just to not burn the right front off too much. Thankfully, we had some green flag runs, so that style of driving paid off.
Yeah, we just had a few cautions here tonight. Nothing too crazy. I think it was just drivers that were battling out for a position. But at any point during the race, did you feel like there was any pressure on you? Because up here in the booth, it looked like it was just another easy Sunday race for you here. You just kind of coasted around these corners. Did you ever start to look at your rear view at all to see that pack coming? Were you ever worried out there on the racetrack?
The only times would have been on restarts. I got kind of lucky on the green flag runs. I was able to get a little bit of a gap, and then they started racing behind me, so they couldn't really bunch up and catch me either. So luckily we had some space at the end there as well. So there wasn't too much worries in the mirror. Like I said, just when we were bunched up on the restarts.
Boy, it didn't look like you had much worries up there. We were talking about up here on the broadcast, there was about a pack of 4 or 5 cars behind you that I feel like if they would have linked together, it might have been more of a battle there at the line. Like I said, you made this track look easy here tonight. It's not an easy track in any sense of the word here tonight. But Trayton, you are a race winner here at Maconi Entertainment. Did it in dominant fashion. But as we have you down here in Victory Lane, is there anybody that you wanted to thank or any sponsors that made this race possible for you here tonight?
Yeah, big thanks to Reaper Speed Lab and Clearlow Communications, and then of course the guys at the Ignite Racing League for giving us a place to race here.
Well, congratulations, Trayton. You get a win on the season here tonight. A well-earned win, mind you, here tonight. But that 32 machine is our victor here tonight at Michigan. Congratulations to Trayton Lappovich. But I believe, Nolan, you're catching up with our second place finisher here tonight. A driver that really gave it his all, but it just wasn't enough there at the end.
Weren't quite able to make that move for the race lead, but boy, you came close to it, Connor, and you had teammate Sam King trying to help you out from behind, but just fell short tonight for Michigan. Why don't you walk us through what those last 10 laps or so were like?
Yeah, it was kind of tough. We were battling really hard off that last restart and kind of burnt up our stuff a lot more than we wanted to, trying to get through that traffic. The air was really messing with all of us. I think a lot of us, you seen guys hit the wall. They were just getting arrow tight and just kind of ran out of time. I don't think I would have caught Trayton if the race was, another 10 laps, maybe with Sam behind me. But all in all, happy with that finish.
It was a solid finish for you and your team, regardless of things. But obviously, there was quite a bit of chaos at the early sections of the race. You managed to be able to fight your way through that one. Why don't you walk us through what it's like when you get to these shorter sprint races and you have to kind of be on your toes 24/7?
Yeah, it's definitely been different than the first few races. Kind of, we're like, oh crap, there's already 10 to go, and um, it's kind of always go time. And uh, the one caution was kind of nice. It made everybody was on the same playing field with the tire situation, which was good. And luckily, in case something happened at the end, we were able to save our fast repair by keeping the nose clean for the first half of the race. And but just it was about managing the tires, trying to keep your left front in the air so you didn't get too tight, and yeah, just keep your nose clean, really.
And obviously, as we get set to leave race number 4, what's it going to be like for you guys as you get set to make your way further down throughout the series? Do you plan to put that car back up in victory lane soon?
Oh, I hope so. I think we head to Talladega next, and I was able to win Daytona. I like the plate racing a lot, so that's a track where anybody can win, really. And just like I said, you definitely gotta save the fast repair for late in the race with that race. But all just excited to get to Talladega, and good finish here today in second.
Well, thank you for joining us here tonight. Before I let you go, anybody you'd like to shout out for your number 4 car there?
Yeah, for sure. Pull Down Motorsports, Reaper Speed Labs, Don York, and the whole Ignite team for putting this on. You guys for streaming. It's really cool, and we'll see you at Talladega.
That was one Will Tyler, or Connor James, excuse me, joining us up here in Victory Lane for the second position. Sorry, I'm a bit all over the place all of a sudden. We'll move on down to Sam or not Sam. Sam King will join you up now here, Will, in third place.
Yes, sir. We are joined now by Sam King, our third place finisher here tonight at the beautiful Michigan Motor Speedway. But Sam, we want to speak about those last 10 laps or so there, where you and Connor really, I think the switch flipped there, where you guys seemed to link up. You were starting to work together a little bit there. Take us through this race here tonight, and did you feel like if there was just a few more laps left in this race, you could have caught Trayton there at the top?
Maybe. Yeah, I think we were catching him there at the end, but I messed up the that first yellow, I think. I was involved, so I got an EOL, and then I entered a closed pit, so I got a 40-second penalty. And I think if I didn't get that, I would have been up front the entire race and maybe had a shot at Drayton, but it is what it is.
Yeah, it seemed like you and Connor were inside of that pack. I would say it was about 4 or 5 or 6 cars there in the mix. Kyle Edgar was in there as well. Kyle Edgar makes contact with a topside wall. That pack you guys were racing in sort of dissipates. You and Connor seem to link up there, and that was seeming to work here towards the end of that race. What made you guys really want to flip that switch and start to work together there at the end? Because we were speaking up here in the broadcast booth, if just some of y'all peeled off and started to draft each other, you could have really closed that gap a lot sooner.
Yeah, that was all Jonathan Platt of Clear Low Communications. He was telling us, get together and you'll have a shot to catch them. And we ended up linking up a little too late, but that was his whole idea, and it almost worked.
Yeah, Sam, but still an awesome third place finish here tonight in that 27 machine. You almost got your teammate up there to the top of the grid, but here tonight it's Lapovich winning the race. What do you think is going to be the thing looking forward to Talladega next week, and will we see a little bit more teammate action there next week?
Talladega is just crazy all the time. You never know what you're gonna get. I didn't race Daytona earlier this year, but I heard it was a lot of wrecks, so hopefully it's a little cleaner than that.
We shall see. I cannot wait for next week here on Maconi Entertainment. But here tonight, Sam, you finished third, and with that third place finish, that podium finish, mind you, we'd love to give you the opportunity to shout out anybody that you had watching here tonight and any sponsors that made this race possible for you.
Pull Down Motorsports, Clear Low Communication, Reaper Speed Lab, and everybody that tuned in.
Awesome, Sam. Well, congratulations on that podium finish here, my man. Just didn't have enough to climb up to the top of the grid, but still a good finish nonetheless. Thank you for taking the time with us here, Sam, and we want to wish all of our drivers here tonight a happy holidays here coming up in less than 10 days. Can't believe it, Nolan. That's coming up pretty fast here, and a happy new year for all those drivers as well. But once again, I want to thank all of our wonderful sponsors here on this series. Again, Maconi Entertainment that we've been live on here for tonight. Also want to thank Hot Rod Setup Shops, the title sponsor of this Cup series here. Reach out to Hot Rod Setup Shops on Facebook or Discord for more information about what they do. They will hook you up. They will answer any questions that you have for them over at Hot Rod Setup Shops. Also, we want to thank JP Alfonso Studios, the title sponsor of our GT3 series. They're a tattoo shop located in Norcross, Georgia. And boy, from looking at their website here, makes me want to go get inked up. Makes me want to go get my first tattoo. Go check them out at jpalfonsostudios.com for all of their recent work and booking information. Also, we want to thank again our series sponsor here, JP Alfonso Studios and Tam Livery. We checked out those awesome paint schemes that they can do for you over at Tam Livery. Cannot wait to get myself into iRacing. Maybe I'll go hit them up for some Tam liveries on those. Boy, those are crispy paint schemes on those race cars here. But Nolan, we had quite a race here tonight at Michigan. Any final thoughts before we wrap up this broadcast here on Maconi Entertainment?
Only that it was such an entertaining race, and I mean, like I said before, you can't really hope for much better from a 35-lap race at the Michigan International Speedway, and definitely looking forward to see what's next in store for these guys.
Alrighty. Well, we want to thank everybody for tuning in to tonight's race. Again, we want to thank tonight's race sponsor, Hot Rod Setup Shops, as well as our broadcast partners here at Maconi Entertainment. Calling the action tonight was myself, William Tiller, alongside Nolan Rempel there in the booth with Eddie Smith producing with all those wonderful camera angles. Again, we want to thank Dougie Beard for all of those. As always, we want to thank all of our viewers for tuning into tonight's racing action. We hope to see you December 19th in just 4 days' time for the next race of the Ignite JP Alfonso GT3 Series at the Charlotte Roval. Man, I'm excited for that race. I'm not even involved in that race, but that makes me excited then. Until then, stay tuned to Maconi Entertainment social media pages for upcoming broadcasts. A special shout out, of course, goes to the entire staff for their work bringing in racing to you. We hope to see you soon at our next event. This has been a production of Maconi Entertainment, and we want to wish you all a great night.